The NBA has a San Antonio Spurs problem, and the league should be put on notice. These Spurs aren't just back, they're storming the gates, playing the kind of dominant basketball that's got the rest of the league sweating. And if they stay on this kind of trajectory, we're looking at a future dynasty in the making. Let's get into it. First off, let's rewind the clock a bit to set the scene. Remember the Spurs' glory days? 5 rings from 1999 to 2014, spread out like a masterclass in consistency, killer culture, and straight up dominating the league. Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Kawhi, they built a dynasty on rock-solid discipline, selfless ball, and impeccable basketball IQ. But then things took a nosedive after that 2018-19 season. Kawhi was traded to Toronto, the Big Three legends started fading into retirement mode, and just like that, the Spurs turned into ghosts wandering the NBA wilderness. Then came 6 straight years of missing the playoffs. Their low point, a brutal 22-60 record in 2022-23, one of the worst in the NBA and the absolute rock bottom for San Antonio fans. The roster was a mess. No real superstar, spacing that made you cringe, dudes like Lonnie Walker flaming out, DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge past their primes. They shipped out DeJounte Murray and Derek White for picks to rebuild. And yeah, don't even get me started on that whole Joshua Primo situation. For the first time in forever, the Spurs felt irrelevant. Fans on Reddit were mourning, saying, "Spurs are done, might as well tank forever." Headlines screamed end of an era from ESPN and The Athletic. Podcasts like The Low Post were debating if Popovich should hang it up. It felt like the end. But here's where it gets exciting. Under CEO R.C. Buford and GM Brian Wright, the Spurs didn't panic. They embraced the rebuild, stockpile picks, develop young talent with patience, and hold out for that once-in-a-generation jackpot. And then, the 2023 NBA Draft. They land Victor Wembanyama with the number 1 pick. The 7'4" freak of nature from France, who is hyped as the best prospect since LeBron. The kid's not just tall, he's got guard skills, elite rim protection, and a smooth 3-point shot. Rookie year, fire. Won Rookie of the Year unanimously, led the entire league with 3.6 blocks per game, and dropped highlights that went viral overnight. But the team still struggled, finishing low enough to snag the number 4 pick in 2024. Enter Stephon Castle, the UConn champ who's a defensive beast, high basketball IQ, and lockdown perimeter guy who plays the right way. Selfless, physical, team first, and fits the Spurs mold perfectly. Then came the veteran magic. First, they bring in the legendary Chris Paul, the ultimate floor general, to mentor the young guys and keep everything steady on the court. Then Harrison Barnes joins the squad, adding spacing and his savvy veteran know-how. Then, the absolute game changer hits mid-2024-2025 season. The Spurs pull off a blockbuster trade to snag De'Aaron Fox from the Kings. Fox wasn't signing an extension there. His value had dipped a bit with the drama, so San Antonio swoops in and grabs him in a 3-team deal, sending out Zach Collins, Trey Jones, some salary fillers, and a handful of mid-tier picks. Suddenly, they've got this lightning-quick all-star closer with speed, ice in his veins clutch plays, and real leadership vibes. The offense flips overnight, pace cranks up, plays have real purpose, and now there's a legit killer for those crunch time moments. Wemby becomes an all-star and the whole team starts gelling and clicking. Of course, they're still young, so there are some bumpy stretches with sloppy turnovers and spacing hiccups here and there. But things are starting to come together. Fast forward to the 2025 draft. Lottery luck strikes again. Number 2 pick, Dylan Harper. This 6'5" lefty is polished gold, tight handle, body control, and pick and roll wizardry. He defends both guard spots, runs the second unit, and thrives in crunch time. Add in shooters, forward depth, and the Spurs are loaded. Now, let's talk about the current season, 2025-26, because this is where their dominance hits. The Spurs are sitting second in the West. They had a 5-game win streak to close out December, including back-to-back wins against the defending champs OKC. During that December run, they were playing like the best squad in the NBA, with elite marks on both ends, top-tier offensive rating around 120, good for 6th league-wide. Defensive rating at 113, also good for 6th in the league. They're crushing it in the advanced stats too. 2nd in free throw attempts per game, 3rd in free throws made, 4th in true shooting percentage, top 10 in field goal percentage, blocks, and fewest turnovers per game. This team's balanced, explosive, and scary good. They have 8 players averaging double-digit points and 10 guys over 15 minutes per game. No egos, just connected basketball. And they're doing all this with Wemby on a minutes restriction after a calf strain, often coming off the bench, playing around 23 minutes per game for the month of December. Even in limited minutes, Wemby still manages to casually drop 4 double-doubles in the month. Without him at full throttle, they went 9-3, holding a 119 offensive rating, which is good for the 75th percentile. With him, their defense turns into an absolute fortress, allowing roughly 103 points per 100 possessions, topping out at the 97th percentile. That's a plus 8.7 net swing. His gravity alone is insane. Opponents avoid driving to the rim, scared of what Wemby will do. Nobody dares to challenge him anymore. But it's not just Wemby making this a problem for the league. The roster is deep, balanced, and downright scary. Take De'Aaron Fox. He's averaging 22 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists on 48% from the field, 39% from 3-on-6 attempts per game, and 80% from the line. He's the veteran glue of the team, attacking closeouts and running those pick and rolls with Wemby that are unguardable. In a 12-game stretch with Wemby sidelined, Fox dropped 25.2 points on an effective 58% from the field, leading the team to a 9-3 record. Now, pair him with Wemby, and their net rating skyrockets to plus 16.5, with their offensive rating at 121.9 and defense at 105.4 in over 330 possessions. Stephon Castle, the reigning Rookie of the Year now in year 2, he's a defensive menace, racking up 4.5 deflections per 100 possessions, which is top tier, good for 72nd percentile. Crashing the defensive glass more than most guards, 13.5% in defensive rebounding, which is 95th percentile amongst guards, and his blocks per game are in the 84th percentile. He's not flashy, but he does the dirty work, locks up elites, ends possessions, and recently knocked down 38.5% from 3 over a 10-game stretch. In one blowout, he goes off for 24 points, with 4 of 6 from deep. And then there's Dylan Harper, the rookie sensation who's already turning heads. He's putting up a cool 12 points, 3.5 boards, and 4 assists per game on nearly 50% shooting. Super efficient for a first-year guy. When he's out there, the team's net rating jumps a solid plus 4.2, bumping the offense up to 122.9. But pair him with Wemby on the floor, a net rating increase to plus 42.3. The offense is cooking at 129.3 while holding teams to just 87 on defense. That's not just good. That's game-breaking, elite-level stuff. At 6'5", Harper's got the footwork, calm pace, and some underrated athleticism that lets him get through defenses. His season high of 24 against DC had fans on social media blowing up, calling him the next Kobe to Wemby Shaq. Shifting to the vets, Harrison Barnes adds a steady 12 points a game and always shows up in clutch moments with his crafty drives, euro steps, and pump fakes. Then you've got Keldon Johnson coming off the bench, dropping 13 points and 6 rebounds a night and quietly making a strong case for 6th man of the year. Devin Vassell is right there too, with a solid 15 points and 4 rebounds, stretching the floor beautifully. Julian Champagnie, dude's a rebounding machine for the second unit, pulling down 6 boards to go with his 10 points in solid bench minutes. And when Wemby's getting his rest, bigs like Luke Cornett, Kelly Olynyk, and Jeremy Sohan step up huge, anchoring the paint and keeping the ship from sinking. The depth is insane. The Spurs are loaded and ready to roll deep into the playoffs. Let's talk about this depth for a second, because the Spurs have 8 players averaging double-digit points right now. That's the kind of balanced scoring that overwhelms teams night after night. No relying on 1 or 2 guys to carry the load. On the floor, they're dishing out roughly 30 assists a game, good for 6th highest in the league. The ball's moving, everyone's touching it, and nobody's playing selfish hero ball. Their field goal percentage is a rock-solid 46%. On the defensive end, they're forcing 14 turnovers a night while only coughing it up 8 times themselves. That's lockdown basketball. Wemby's monster rim protection lets perimeter guys like Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox press aggressively. Both of them are swiping at 1.3 steals per game, turning those turnovers into easy fast break buckets. Even their opponents are giving them props. After one tough loss, SGA said in his post-game interview, "They're young, really good, have a lot of talent, and play the right way. Jalen Williams piled on too. They have good guards that take pride in defense. It causes problems. You know you're doing something right when your rivals are handing out compliments. Speaking of OKC, that's the smoking gun for why the NBA has a Spurs problem. The Thunder were 24-1 at one point, owning the best record in the NBA with that suffocating #1 defense. But guess who owns them? The Spurs. They've swept the season series with 3 statement wins in December. First, the thriller in the NBA Cup semis on December 13th, 111-109 nail-biter, snapping OKC's 16-game win streak. Then a 130-110 blowout in San Antonio, OKC's worst loss of the year, outscored 43-28 in the fourth. And the cherry on top, Christmas Day in OKC, national TV, huge stage, and the Spurs win it by 15, making it 3-0 on the season. They exposed OKC's vulnerabilities, streaky shooters like Alex Caruso and Lou Dort going ice cold, Jalen Williams not quite the same post-injury, and way too much relying on SGA to carry everything. The Spurs guards, Fox, Castle, Harper, are a perfect matchup nightmare for OKC's multi-guard looks, pressing hard and driving at will. Wemby's gravity pulls doubles left and right, opening up lanes everywhere. Chet Holmgren gets bottled up bad in their second loss against the Spurs, held to just 7 points on 3 of 10 shooting. OKC coughed up 15 turnovers and barely got to the line compared to San Antonio, just 7 to the Spurs' 24 attempts. Headlines after Christmas were wild. Stuff like Spurs continue dominance over Thunder with Christmas Day victory, and Spurs dominate NBA best Thunder. Podcasts like Bill Simmons were buzzing. San Antonio just punked the West's darling. Reddit exploded. Spurs are the real deal. OKC exposed. This might be the birth of a spicy new rivalry, and the Spurs are looking like the team no one wants to see in the playoffs. Listen, this whole turnaround isn't some fluke or lucky bounce. It's hands down the fastest rebuild in NBA history. From 22-60 just a couple seasons ago to now sitting pretty at second in the West. Huge credit to the front office, R.C. Buford and Brian Wright, for nailing it with patient, smart moves. Hitting jackpot drafts like Wemby at #1 in 23, Castle at #4 in 24, and Dylan Harper at #2 this year, pulling off that steal of a trade for De'Aaron Fox without gutting the future, flipping picks wisely and working that cap space like magicians. They're sitting on rookie deals that are absolute bargains. Wemby's pulling in around $13 million this year, bumping to $17 million next. Harper locked in cheap for the next 4 years, Castle at 6% cap for the next 3. Fox making bank, but totally worth it. Barnes on a $19 million expiring deal, Keldon flexible, and they've got future ammo stacked with weapons from Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, even Sacramento's unprotected in 2031. They could flip guys like Sohan or Johnson for more if needed. In a few years when the extensions hit, Wemby's eligible for that supermax, but he might even take a little discount to keep the window open and chase young guns like Cooper Flag down the line. This is a legit dynasty blueprint. Young core on team-friendly money, no luxury tax headaches yet, just pure, sustained contention. Look, I'm getting all fired up here because this Spurs squad hits that old school basketball sweet spot. The scrappy underdog rising fast, the whole machine humming with that classic Spurs culture. They're not a year away or building for tomorrow. They're here right now, picking apart top contenders like OKC and Denver and making the West look vulnerable. The West is stacked too, but balance is beating raw star power these days, and San Antonio's got it. It's kind of wild to say, but the rest of the league should be low-key terrified. This setup feels almost unfair with the talent, depth, and that selfless vibe. Wemby's already a top 10 force on an MVP track, stuffing stat sheets with monster lines while anchoring the defense like a freak. 100 straight games with a block joins greats like Ewing and Mutombo. The whole system's just pure joy to watch. Unselfish ball movement, tough defense, winning the right way. One fan nailed it. This is ethical, beautiful basketball at its finest. The Spurs are back, and they're built to stay on top. If the Spurs keep this up, forget the playoffs, they're finals bound, planting the flag on a new dynasty that's gonna dominate for years. The NBA's on notice. Adapt or get left behind. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? Are we watching the birth of a full-on dynasty? Who's the biggest threat that could slow them down? Let's hear it.